This section is about human hormones. Communication between various parts of the body is maintained both by the nervous system and by hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers that pass around the body and bring about changes in the body. Hormones are produced by glands in various parts of the body. The pituitary gland controls growth rate, menstrual cycle and lactation. The thyroid gland produces thyroxine, which controls the metabolic rate. The adrenal gland produces adrenaline and affects our fight or flight responses by increasing heart rate and blood sugar levels and directing blood to muscles and brain. The pancreas produces insulin, which controls blood sugar levels. The testes produce testosterone, which causes male puberty changes and stimulates the production of sperm. The ovaries produce estrogen, which causes female puberty changes and helps control the menstrual cycle. Hormones are produced by glands and secreted into the bloodstream. They are transported around the body in the blood. Hormones affect specific cells, target cells, elsewhere in the body. Generally, hormones have slow, long-lasting effects. Adrenaline and insulin are two hormones that have more rapid effects. Now we'll look at two hormones in detail, insulin and sex hormones. First, insulin. The next clip is about insulin. As you watch it, note down the ways it controls the sugar level in the blood and what happens when it doesn't.
Insulin is produced by an organ called the pancreas, which is found just behind the stomach. The white specks are made up of cells which produce insulin. The function of insulin is to enable sugar in the form of glucose to pass from the blood into the cells. If insulin is absent, glucose can't enter and the cells are starved of fuel. Sugar accumulates in the blood. Because the muscles are starved of sugar, the body makes energy from its fat and protein reserves, so the person loses a lot of weight.
You should have noticed that insulin is produced naturally in the pancreas to control the level of sugar in the blood. It helps sugar in the form of glucose pass from the blood into the cells. It also controls the level of sugar in the blood by increasing the rate at which the liver can convert sugar into glycogen. When the blood sugar returns to normal, insulin production stops. Diabetes is an illness which occurs when the body doesn't produce enough insulin to keep its glucose level steady. Low insulin production starts a series of reactions. Symptoms of diabetes include a high level of sugar in the blood. Glucose is no longer turned to glycogen or fat to give the body energy. Diabetics lose weight and excess glucose is excreted in the urine. This needs a lot of water, so diabetics feel very thirsty. Diabetics can also become unconscious unless they are given artificial insulin.
Covering like that.
It's important that diabetics check their blood sugar levels regularly.
And you press the timer there, so in our
So you can see that's 23.4, Louise, and that's far too high at the moment. But it's nothing to worry about because the doctor will just give you some more insulin tonight and bring it down. Let's compare it against this colour chart.
Because diabetes has been known about for a very long period of time. In fact, it's been recorded back at the time of the Greeks. And when they referred to diabetes, because it was a wasting disease, you passed so much urine that you had to drink a lot and you lost a lot of weight. And in those days, you would die from the disease because you were unable to correct it. And it wasn't really until 1921 when probably the most famous couple who won a Nobel Prize, Banting and Bess, first described the origins of diabetes in the pancreas. What they actually did was, and some previous co-workers, removed the pancreas from dogs, in fact. And on removing this pancreas, the dogs immediately became diabetic. In other words, what they started to do is drink a lot and pass a lot of urine, and ultimately they would die within a few weeks. They then found that by taking extracts of this pancreas and mixing it up in a laboratory situation and then giving it back to the animals, that they corrected the problem of diabetes and they would be back to their normal selves.
When insulin was injected into human diabetics, the results were dramatic.
Next, sex hormones. Make sure you know the role played by the human sex hormones. These are estrogen and progesterone in women and testosterone in men. The ovaries produce the female sex hormones estrogen and progesterone. They're responsible for sexual development and the menstrual cycle. The testes produce the male sex hormone testosterone. It controls male sexual development and the production of sperm. Here's a sample question about human hormones. Explain how insulin helps to control the level of glucose in the blood. Stop the tape and have a go at this. I'll look back over the earlier sequence. How did you get on? A simple answer is that insulin makes the level of glucose go down, but that's only worth 1 mark because there's only one fact. The pancreas secretes insulin, which makes the liver turn glucose into glycogen, might get 3 marks as it makes 3 correct points. That the pancreas makes insulin, that insulin affects the liver, and that the liver turns glucose into glycogen. A full answer would be something like this. The pancreas secretes a hormone called insulin when there is too much glucose in the blood. The liver is the target organ, which turns the excess glucose into glycogen. When the blood sugar level returns to normal, negative feedback turns the secretion of insulin off. That's the end of the section on hormones.